Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. Today we have some words from Jaya Varman himself on all that was accomplished on Skyblock in 2023 and their plans for 2024. That includes some announcements about the Foraging update and some of the other updates that were tested on Alpha this year. So I won't keep you waiting, just smash the sub and like button and let's jump into it. So Jaya Varman just released this post, Skyblock 2023 recap and looking forward. This picture here shows all of the updates that we got this year, including the two major ones, the Garden and the Rift. And you can see they put a lot of work in this year, especially towards the later half. There's not a ton of weeks that didn't have any updates, but we'll see how they feel about it in these notes. So this year they focused mainly on consistently releasing meaningful updates, focused a lot more on bug fixing, and focused on fighting dupes and wipes. And they're pretty happy with their progress. They're not completely satisfied, but I'd say they did pretty well. We didn't have too many issues with dupes this year. There were a few issues with wipes happening early on in a few of the updates, especially the last one, ongoing skin shop and pet care update. I know there were some bugs with that where people were losing their pets, but other than that they did really well. So they said that last year they focused on the Garden and the Rift as their only two major content releases, but this year they're going to try and do a lot more. To be fair, this year they did do a ton of smaller updates. You can see all the little white text boxes here with a few amount of small changes in there. Lots of bug fixes, of course. And you can see all these orange text boxes is where they did the smaller changes as well. So a lot of QOL stuff. You can see a lot of QOL changes in these orange text boxes. Included updates to dungeons, bestiary, crystal hollows, the pests, and the garden, and plenty more. Now they think that these updates were important to go ahead and get out of the way so they can focus more on bigger updates this year, including an update to the Crimson Isle that is being planned and undergoing design. And they're going to start actually writing the code for it shortly. We're going to be getting an update to the Crimson Isle, which I think is pretty nice. There could definitely be some better ways to get keys, I feel like. Vanquishers I'm pretty happy with right now, but the way that boss fights are handled, like the Barbarian Duke and the Blade Soul, I think those could definitely use a revamp, and it looks like they're going to be getting one. But they also said in 2024 the focus will shift to developing the new content that everyone's yearning for, with the Foraging update leading the way. So this is going to be happening pretty early next year, it looks like. So hopefully that will be out by March, April. That could be pretty amazing, but they say more about that here in a moment. So they did a lot with the event system this year. They did a few things to the winter update. They added the Great Spook event, 4th year anniversary was better, and the 300-year celebration was insane. But they've got even more planned for the 400-year celebration, which I can't remember if that's happening late this year, or by this year I mean 2024. It's practically there, or if it's going to be happening early 2025. But whenever it does happen, it's going to be even better than raffle apparently, so that's something to be hyped about. They also did some changes to bingo, and they were more active on social media, which is true. They'd had some pretty cool trailers with the Rift update and stuff, but then they're going to talk about some updates that they're not really working on. The chapters update, which was talked about in I think the first levels update, they were going to add this in, and they kind of replaced this with the Skyblock guide. So chapters is not currently being worked on. Ability transfusion, they have stopped. They may change some things and put it into a future update, but they've decided to not put out the whole update as they did on the Alpha Network. Now they do plan to make a few changes to attributes in the future as far as balancing and accessibility, but the majority of this update was discontinued. Now they talk about their bugs and wipes, which again they did really well on this year. Say the alpha testing was actually a big part of that, so they could discover a lot of the issues before it was introduced on the main server, which I would say is a pretty big deal. Before alpha we had a lot more dupes and bug issues and wipes and all of that happening. So with the alpha server, a lot of good changes have been made and a lot of issues are found before they're introduced onto the main server. Again, they are still far from perfect, but it's definitely a lot better. Now we have a whole segment dedicated to foraging, and just because it looks short doesn't mean it is. There's a lot of information in this, so let's break it down. In May, they did their design thread where they talked about the foraging island. They do not have a release date yet, but they are trying to get the first island of the Foraging update out soon. Alpha testing will hopefully begin early this year, which could be pretty nice, you know, if that's out before March, if we have a look at it. But again, this is the first island of the Foraging update. So it looks like this is going to be similar to the Dwarven Mines update, where it's such a big update, it's going to come out in a couple of parts. Remember, the first Dwarven Mines update did not have the Crystal Hollows in it, and they added that on in a later patch. Could be the same thing for the Foraging update, where we've got one island and then they add on a second part later on. Now we could speculate a lot about this, about what it means, but I'm sure it means that there are going to be requirements to get to the second island. Question is whether or not it's similar to the Dwarven Mines requirements, or if it's like the Crimson Isle, where it requires either a certain amount of the foraging equivalent of gemstone powder, or if it just requires you to have a higher foraging level to get to it. But we're not going to know until the alpha starts coming out, and probably we won't even know then. But we'll at least have a look at the first part of Foraging update, which I'm very excited for, and I'm sure you guys are as well. But again, this is the first update where they're going to be introducing aspects from Minecraft 1.9 through 1.20. Now, I believe in the design thread, they said they were going up to 1.19, but now they're going up to 1.20. So even more possibilities. Every single Minecraft update has so much added to it that could be used by these developers to make an amazing addition to SkyBlock. So they are planning in the future their long-term goal to unlock all the new features and possibilities that the latest versions of Minecraft offer, which I am very much looking forward to. But again, that is a long-term goal. So while it may be added in the Foraging update, it won't be introduced to the entirety of SkyBlock for a while still, because that move from older version to a much newer version, it does take a lot, I'm sure, from the devs to be able to do that, but they've done such a good job on all of our recent updates, and I'm sure that once this comes out, it's going to be amazing. So at the end, they do a TLDR. Basically, they're going to release a lot more major content this upcoming year, including the Foraging update. 1.0 is still not planned for this year, I don't think, but 2024 has a lot to offer, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one. God bless.